You have kissed someone before, maybe recently, maybe years ago, but you have never once asked yourself where the gesture came from. It feels automatic, natural, like breathing. But the real answer is far stranger. Because for most of human history, kissing on the mouth was not universal. It was not instinct. In some cultures, it did not exist at all until outsiders brought it there. Your lips have been doing something far more complicated than affection. They have been running a biological background check on another human being, and you had no idea. Start with the moment itself. Think about the last time you kissed someone you actually wanted to kiss. Your heart rate changed, your breathing shifted, your brain, without asking permission, began collecting data. That is not romance. That is chemistry running a diagnostic. Do you know what your brain was actually testing for? It was testing genetics. Specifically, a set of genes called the MHC, short for Major Histocompatibility Complex. Decode that for a second. It simply means the genes that control your immune system, the ones that determine what diseases your body can fight off. Researcher Claus Wedekind ran a famous study in the 1990s where women smelled t-shirts worn by different men. Over and over, they preferred the scent of men whose immune genes were most different from their own. Different immune genes mean stronger, more resilient offspring. Your ancestors could not read a genetic report. So evolution gave them a shortcut. It gave them a kiss. Saliva carries information. Pheromones, hormones, even trace amounts of testosterone get exchanged in a single kiss. Your body is quietly asking a question neither of you says out loud. Are you a good genetic match? That is the reframe. A kiss was never simply sweet. It was a test disguised as tenderness. Now go back further, much further. Before language, before fire, before anything you would recognize as culture. Researchers studying primate behavior have long pointed to something called mouth-to-mouth food transfer. A mother chimpanzee chews food, softens it, and passes it directly into her infant's mouth. It looks almost exactly like a kiss. It probably is the ancestor of one. This is where it gets strange. Some anthropologists argue that romantic kissing did not evolve from affection at all. It evolved from feeding. Think about that for a second. The gesture you associate with love may have started as survival. A parent literally keeping a child alive, mouth to mouth, generation after generation, until the behavior outlived its original purpose and became something else entirely. Something softer. Something you now do on a first date without a single thought about where it came from. Anthropologist Vaughn Bryant spent decades tracing the written history of the kiss, and what he found breaks almost every assumption people carry. The earliest confirmed written evidence of romantic kissing does not come from Rome. It does not come from Greece either. It comes from ancient India, in Vedic Sanskrit texts dating back roughly 3,500 years, describing people pressing their mouths together and inhaling each other's breath. Not a peck, an exchange of breath, believed at the time to carry a piece of a person's soul. From there, the behavior appears to have spread. Bryant's research suggests it moved from South Asia into the Middle East, and eventually into the armies of Alexander the Great, who carried it into the Mediterranean world around 326 BCE. A gesture, traveling like a language, passed from mouth to mouth across empires. Here is the twist that changes everything you think you know. Kissing is not universal. Anthropologist William Jankowiak and his colleagues studied 168 cultures around the world, and found that only about 46% of them practiced romantic mouth kissing as it is understood today. Less than half. In some regions of sub-Saharan Africa, parts of New Guinea, and among certain indigenous Amazonian groups, kissing on the lips was historically absent, sometimes considered unhygienic, occasionally viewed as bizarre or even repulsive when first observed by outsiders. Did you expect that? Most people assume kissing is hardwired into every human being on Earth. It is not. What is hardwired is intimacy, closeness, bonding behavior. The mouth is simply one of many doors humans have used to get there. Nose rubbing, forehead touching, breath sharing, mutual grooming. Different cultures built different doors onto the exact same room. So if kissing is not universal instinct, why does it feel so instinctive to you right now? That question sits at the center of everything. The honest answer is, culture did the wiring after birth, not evolution before it. You were taught to kiss the same way you were taught language. Not through a lesson exactly, through absorption, through watching, through 1,000 small cultural signals telling you this gesture means love. Return to the body for a moment, because the science only gets stranger from here. When you kiss someone, your brain releases a cocktail of chemicals working in direct opposition to each other. Dopamine floods in, the same reward chemical involved in addiction, creating that lightheaded pull toward wanting more. At the same time, cortisol, your stress hormone, actually drops. Your nervous system calms even as your pulse quickens. Oxytocin rises too, often called the bonding hormone, the same chemical released between a mother and newborn. Researcher Rafael Wlodarski at Oxford studied kissing behavior across relationship stages and found something almost uncomfortable to admit. People rely on kissing most heavily at the very beginning of a relationship, when they are still unconsciously assessing whether this partner is worth investing in. The kiss front-loads the evaluation. It is doing the genetic and emotional homework your conscious mind is too polite to do out loud. Consider what that means. Every first kiss you have ever had was your body quietly running a compatibility test disguised as a moment of vulnerability. Not calculated, not cynical, just old. Older than romance itself. Older than the word love in any language you speak. Now bring it back to today, because this is where the ancient truth stops being trivia and starts being personal. The next time you kiss someone, or even remember a kiss that mattered, understand what actually happened in that moment. Immune systems were compared without either of you knowing. Stress hormones dropped while your heart rate rose. A behavior possibly born from a mother feeding her child was quietly repurposed into something you call desire. None of this makes the moment less meaningful. If anything, it makes it heavier with history. You are not performing a modern social script when you kiss someone. You are participating in something that traveled from ancient breath rituals in India, through the marching armies of Alexander, through evolutionary detours that started as feeding infants, all the way into this exact version of you, in this exact moment, without your permission and without your awareness. Ask yourself something honestly. How many times have you called a kiss simple? A small gesture, a quiet moment, but nothing about it is small. It carries genetics, hormones, thousands of years of cultural drift, and a survival strategy older than spoken language. You have kissed someone before, but you have never actually understood what you were doing. The real answer was never romance. It was always something far stranger, written into you long before you had the words to explain it.